Lewis and the Crandall Historical Printing Museum, I'd like to take these few minutes to honor an extraordinary man, Dr. Stephen Pratt. A great friend to the museum and one of the most remarkable contributors ever to support this historical printing museum. Over the years, it has taken enormous effort to provide the unique testimonies that have been shared through the decades. An amazing number of people have felt inspired to come forward with suggestions and money and their own personal time, sharing their sincere testimonies of the enormous impact movable type has had upon the evolving story of God's hand upon the history of mankind. But none have had as much direct physical impact upon this choice, miraculous institution of learning as has Dr. Pratt. He has literally hand-molded those of the remarkable functioning presses that are here in this unique historical museum, and as no other person on this earth could possibly have done. It was Steve who offered to prepare the museum's Gutenberg press so that Lewis and his associates could portray for all the school children in this valley and throughout the state the remarkable techniques handed down through the centuries, so that by visiting this museum they could learn the story of religious freedom, as Lou and Wally and those others who are constantly sharing their astounding insights into the Reformation and stories of continuing struggles for religious freedom and eventually the evolution of a growing new free nation. Steve put together the Benjamin Franklin Printing Press so people throughout the western states could come here and learn about the founding fathers and men like Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, so many other brilliant authors and patriots who thrived upon mighty words that flowed through divinely inspired hearts and minds, thus setting forth in declarations, ordinances, and founding principles the establishing of a nation like no other upon the face of this earth. It was Steve who made it possible for this museum to share with the public exciting stories of marvelous miracles that set in motion all those breathtaking events that led to the restoration. And this very day, the Lewis Crandall Museum continues its day-long printing of the second signature of the Book of Mormon. So those who are here now, and those who might come in the future, can witness God's hand in a faithful reprinting of the first publication of Holy Scriptures prepared in the Western Hemisphere millennia ago, destined to come forth out of the dust of the earth in this dispensation of God's time. And finally, it was indeed Dr. Stephen Pratt that made it possible for this wonderful museum to make available to all the school children in America, working witness of an early and very original 19th century, but much more modern day 20th century version of an old-fashioned technique that is still being used in one form or the other to this very day. Stephen Pratt stood up for America. He made certain that his voice would be heard. And he knew that if he could make equipment here in this Crandall Historical Museum continue to function through the many coming years, his voice would indeed continue to be heard. Brian Hyde, in an article written for his commentary over Fox News, 1450 AM, 93.1 FM, and printed in the St. George News, wrote, "For 35 years or more, Pratt has devoted his life to sharing the message of liberty with all who would hear. He did not charge for his presentations, as he believed that the message of liberty should not be taught for profit. At each of his seminars there was a large table of books, primarily the original sources he was citing, Pratt did not charge for these books. He only asked for donations to cover costs of replacing them. If a person could not afford the donation, he asked them to take the book anyway and study it. Dr. Stephen Pratt has taken seriously the challenge offered up by our beloved first president of the United States of America, who said, "Primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important? And what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of this country?" It was almost as if that venerable commander-in-chief had seen in vision our beloved friend Stephen Pratt and encouraged him right from the start to protect the rights of the children, to visualize all that has gone into this remarkable nation through the majesty of each mighty pen. Through such centuries-old equipment, not only has the process been touched by the hand of God, but it has been molded over and over again and again into each remarkable form of printing press by Dr. Stephen Pratt, to conform to the mind and will of God for each courageous new occasion suited to his very purpose throughout the world in every due course of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Every one of the presses in this museum was built by Stephen Pratt and his family. The Gutenberg press this is the first one that Steve Pratt built in our museum. And he copied the one that is in Mainz, Germany, to build this one. In fact, he had a friend there that actually made some blueprints of the press that is in Mainz today. Now that one there probably is not the one that Gutenberg printed that first book, but it's as close as it could be. We copied that, and we have that in our museum. Steve Pratt then also built the Benjamin Franklin press. Several years ago, in fact it was about 13 years ago, Stan Nelson, the curator of the Smithsonian, gave me the blueprints for the Benjamin Franklin press they have at the Smithsonian. And we copied that for our press in the Benjamin Franklin room. And then he built this press for us. And also he built a press that printed the first Deseret News, and that's in the Deseret newsroom. Thanks to all of you for coming and coming to see this wonderful story. Thank you for it, and I'm sure that you'll be well paid for being here to see the Book of Mormon printed exactly the same way that it was printed when that first Book of Mormon was printed. That second section of that Book of Mormon is being printed here today. And so this is a wonderful occasion, and thank you so much for that wonderful program. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Back to work?
Back to work. Yeah, back to work. Yeah, back to work.
What do you think they're here for?
I'll tell you what.
Okay, off we go. Pablo yonder?
Nice chamber.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
Tell the boss you're here.
Hey, we did it.
Okay, we have a group of people, quite a few people now waiting to come in here.
Okay, well,
You bet. Okay. Cool.
You get it right on the line.
It's pretty cool. And that people put it through.
Perfection.